Hello, everybody. This is okay. Hello, everybody. This is Debbie, from Teacher Success Coach, with another episode of the Female Educators Roundtable. As usual, on a Saturday, the show is looking at female educators from around the world and chatting with them in relationship to what it's been like going back to the classroom and what it was like for them before COVID, during COVID, and now they're back in the classroom. What are some of the challenges they're experiencing? What are some of the triumphs? What are some of the things they've taken back from the online platform to the physical classroom? And basically how they're coping. Because there's sometimes we're not all able to cope without, finding support from our peers. So this is what the show is about on a Saturday, where hear from educators firsthand. There's nobody telling the story. We need to tell our own story. So here we are on a Saturday. Welcome, 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 Eva. Thank you very much for accepting the offer to come online to share your experiences. I really do appreciate that you take the time off to do that for me. Thank you very, very much, Eve. Would you like to introduce yourself? Tell us where you come from and tell us how long you've been teaching and what you teach.
Thank you, Debbie. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Eve, and I am originally from Cyprus. I'm Greek Cypriot and half Syrian, and I have been an EAL teacher. So for those of you who don't know, EAL stands for English as an Additional Language. So I've been teaching international students, mainly English language, but also literature. And I have experience of teaching English in Cyprus, but also in the UK for many years, both in the private sector, the independent sector, and the state sector as well as further education college. Right now, I am in an academy. So it's a school in Northwest London. And I am teaching smaller groups than before. So I teach 1-to-1, 2, maximum 8 kids. But yeah, soon I will be moving on to the private sector again, where I will actually have more students in the class, up to 15. So at the moment, I am teaching English language, but I'm also trying to meet the needs of the students. So I'm supporting them with English language and literature assessments, like, for example, Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol, how to analyze poetry as well, helping them with sociology. So I actually had to read about it, but I was interested. And, had to read the key terms and also how the assessments are in order to help them. The other thing I actually taught this year was Greek mythology as an extra sort of curricular activity, because I'm Greek, I speak Greek fluently, and I'm interested in mythology and philosophy, so I did that as well. Yeah, so this is my background in a nutshell.
Thank you very much for that. Oh, wow. So which means in order for you to teach your children, you don't teach them in isolation, you connect it to the curriculum, the particular subjects that they're actually looking at.
Exactly. I mean, it's a big challenge, Debbie, to do that. And it's actually something that I am looking into. I've just started a course last week with the Bell Foundation. So it's called Leading a Whole School Strategy for EAL. And it's talking more about how to do the integration, how to help those international kids, students access the curriculum. Because what is the point to isolate students and just teach them English language? You have to try and implement, different subjects so they don't feel isolated. They have to feel that they belong in the school. It is challenging, so it's a work in progress. And it is something that I'm actually considering in doing later, maybe another master's or a PhD, looking at the curriculum design, because there isn't a curriculum for EAL. So that is something of interest for me.
Wow, thank you. It's interesting because one time in my career, I used to teach EAL as well, but at the time, we was struggling to embed it into the subject matter, and it have not been easy.
especially for the teachers, because
Yeah,
they're so busy and
yeah,
overloaded with marking, with
yeah,
planning,
yeah.
etc. I mean, it's difficult for them. So I do understand how they might find it challenging to differentiate.
Mm-hmm,
They don't have time to plan different material for those EAL students.
mm-hmm,
So that's my job, to sort of support and liaise with those teachers of other subject areas. For example, on Friday, I had a student who is from Israel. Her English is limited, but she is actually progressing rapidly. She's
mm-hmm,
very good at maths, very good at maths, but she was struggling to understand the questions in the assessment paper. So
mm-hmm,
what I had to do, I had to liaise with the head of maths in my school. I took the assessment paper or an example, and I took the keywords, literally, how do we answer this question? So, important words like equation or formula,
mm-hmm,
triangle, different words that actually some of them were new to me because I'm not a mathematician.
mm-hmm,
So it's like scaffolding, right? So I had to adapt my teaching to meet her needs, to meet those students' needs, because the head of maths or the maths teacher does not have time to do that in the mainstream lesson. How can she do that when she's got 20 other students that are waiting to be taught? So it is a challenge, definitely.
mm-hmm. She's lucky. Thank you for that. She's lucky she only have 20. Some people
Mm.
are 30, 32,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So yeah, so that is fantastic though, because the fact that a lot of institution is now going that way, it makes sense because it means that the student is not at such a great disadvantage
Hmm.
as they would have been if they don't have the support of you. Because just think, we already, overload, and then you have to support these ELA students who
Exactly.
might be, probably they've only just come to the country, and you are trying to
Exactly.
support them. I've had that when I've been in some schools, and I'm thinking, my goodness, what am I supposed to do? I really don't
Hmm.
have enough time. So one of the things I had
No,
to do, I actually had to say to them, I need an extra support in my classroom because
exactly.
I'm
And
not
let's not
supporting the
forget the
child.
trauma that these
Exactly.
children have. A lot of them are refugees from Afghanistan.
Yeah.
A lot of them are from Ukraine. I have
Yeah.
a lot of Ukrainian students. Some of them come from Iran.
Mhm.
Um, they all came here for a better future. So they still have to come to terms with the fact. That they had to move.
Mhm.
So we need to be very careful with that and how we help them and support them in
Mhm.
education, but also in the society of the school, because
Mhm.
it is like a small version of society.
Yeah, it is definitely, definitely.
Mm.
Thank you for that. One
Thank
of
you.
my questions is, what has it been like going back into the physical classroom?
Like a breath of fresh air. I was very
Really?
pleased to go back to face-to-face teaching. I wasn't
Okay.
against online teaching. I just found it very draining at some point because it was too much screen time. It would give me headaches, and
Mhm.
we didn't reduce the amount of teaching online, so we still had to do the 3-hour sessions. Back then, I was teaching ESOL, so English to speakers of other languages, and that was adults. So it
Right.
was fantastic. I did that for 3.5 years. Um, but yeah, I found it challenging teaching online for so many hours. So
Mhm.
coming back to the physical classroom has been good because I missed the face-to-face teaching and learning, collaboration. So I'm pleased to be back. I did the hybrid teaching as well for many months. So I was teaching
Uh-huh.
for 3 days a week uh, at the college face to face, and then twice
Uh-huh.
I was from home.
Okay. 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 Thank you for that. For me, I loved being at home because
Hmm.
it's like able to rush to put the washing on, we're able to rush to cook. But what I found when you were doing that, when I came back to, after my lunch break, whatever, I was exhausted because I'm
Right.
trying to do all of these bits and pieces, right?
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
although one aspect of it was nice because you know you didn't have to get up and get fully dressed, etc., etc. On the
There are
other
always
hand,
pros and cons.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. On the other hand, it was
Yeah.
tiring because the student wasn't taking in anything.
Mhm.
And they told me when they went back that, oh
Yeah.
well, Miss XYZ was teaching, and I was lying in my bed, and it was all of those things. So,
Yeah.
like you, I think it was nice going back because
Mhm.
you could actually observe the progress of the students.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what, interestingly, it's something that we've noticed in London, especially, is that a lot of the students are still struggling with post-COVID attendance. So, for
Yes.
example, the attendance has dropped, and not just in my school, but in a lot
Yeah.
of schools in the area. I mean, not just in my area, but I believe it's in the whole world, right, globally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I think COVID, the pandemic, was for too long. So this online learning took for, I don't know, 2 years, 2.5
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
So the attendance is not yet where it used to be before COVID.
Right. Yeah. That's interesting. I never really oh
This
my
is based on
goodness.
statistics. Yeah.
Yeah, I never thought of it like that, because I
Mhm.
teach teenagers, and my
Yeah.
goodness gracious, there's some days I don't see some of them at all.
Yeah.
So I
Same.
also put that down to teenagers don't like getting up in the morning,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Partially is
But
also
now
that.
that
Yeah.
you say that, exactly, it's a real heightened awareness because COVID, there was no structure. So therefore, they spent 2 years with no structure,
Yeah.
and now they have to get back into the structure. They're finding it
Mm.
challenging.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, this is a real aha moment for me.
Also, we are
Wow.
adults, and some of us have struggled to go back, face to face.
Yeah,
So imagine a
yeah, yeah,
teenager or a primary
yeah,
student. We don't know
yeah,
how they really felt or they still
yeah,
feel. Some of them
yeah,
might actually
yeah,
be dreading the social aspect of it. Oh, we're going to be back face to face. How is it going to be like? Are my teachers going to be nice,
yeah,
etc.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That is, thank you. That is so true because there is also a lot of, there has been an increase in social anxiety
Hmm.
in terms of whereas children who are going back into the school, physical school, a lot of them have the anxiety of going back because I've got two students, one in younger year and one in the sixth form, who've got social anxiety in terms of
Yeah.
coming to the school. That student, I've seen her probably 4 or 5 times in the whole
Yeah.
from January to now.
I'm a sixth form tutor. I don't teach them, but every morning we have house time. So they have
All
to be with
right.
me and my co-tutor. We've got the lowest attendance of tutor group. They don't really
Mm.
attend in the morning. They're fantastic students.
Yeah.
They're trying, but they don't attend every day. No.
Right,
So
right,
I
right.
think post-COVID perhaps has affected the attendance. Yeah.
Right, right, right. Thank you for
Yeah.
that. Since you've been back, what is the
Mhm.
relationship between you and the students like?
Um, Fantastic, actually. I really care about my students, and I always believe in this approach of educating the whole child. So, I try to always ask them, how they are, how they're feeling, because as an EAL teaching, it's like because it is a one-to-one or small groups, it's vital to ask them about their well-being. I'm not a psychologist and I'm not qualified, but I want them to feel comfortable around me. And then, of course, then I deliver the lesson, and we have this report, which is a very positive relationship. I haven't had any issues with students, to be honest.
Just realized I'm mute. Thank you for that. What I like is when you say that before you actually do anything with them, you're tapping into their emotional, well-being as to, what's going
Hmm.
on, how are you? I think that's very, very important instead of just going
Yes.
straight into teaching because you don't know how they
Mhm.
are.
And they ask me now every time, how was your weekend? How are you, miss?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so it's sort of a reciprocal, respectful and
yeah,
professional relationship. And it's nice
yeah,
because
yeah,
that's how we form, a professional teacher-student relationship. We're
Yeah.
not robots, so we're human beings, and it's been a difficult few years.
Yeah.
And I wish there was more mental health support
Yeah.
about that regarding, returning from the pandemic and returning to the classroom.
Yeah, that is very true. So some schools don't even have, mental well-being supported.
Yes, that is true. That
Yeah.
is true. And I believe that something has to be done about that.
Yeah.
There should always be a mental health professional, both for staff and for students and for staff.
Yeah. Thank you. It's interesting though, because some schools feel funny. We had a discussion in this school I'm in right now. We had a discussion, I think it was Monday or Tuesday, that some schools feel that when they're actually, on some days of the week, when they actually put in a bowl of fruits and, like treats, they feel that is checking into the staff mental health and well-being. And we were laughing about it because you're thinking, hold on, you don't even know how the staff is feeling. Because you're giving them that, thinking that's enough. It's like a lot of them will say, I'd rather if someone had come and said to me, how are you feeling today? What's going on with you? Instead of giving us the streets. And I said,
yes, I agree. There has to be more sort of support.
Yeah.
But then that comes the other question of the workload. Everyone is so busy, everyone is so stressed.
Yeah.
To the point that, sometimes you might not even get replies from emails, or it might be delayed. So yeah, I think that there has to be more sort of standardized meetings to check up on your mental health.
Yeah.
It has to be a priority, because if you're suffering from something, stress, depression, anxiety, worries, etc., then you cannot physically and mentally function in any job.
Yeah.
And that is a given. The priority is your health, both mentally and physically. If you don't have that, you cannot actually offer anything to your students or your colleagues.
Yeah, exactly.
Hopefully things will change in the future, because mental health awareness, mindfulness, is slowly becoming sort of emerging in the education scene as well.
Yeah. It's interesting you spoke about it in terms of there's so much pressure that teachers not even able to answer emails. Yesterday, I sent an email to one of my colleagues, and I'm saying to him, I say, I'm assuming that you received the email because you came upstairs this evening. He said, yes, Deborah, I've received the email. I said, but I said, all you need to say to me is thank you. He said, I don't even have time to even answer an email. He said, I don't have time. I'm just always so very busy.
But that is a sign, you see, that's a sign that something is not 100% right.
Yeah, of course. And I said to him, that's no good. I said, you should be able to respond to an email to say thank you, so that the recipient know that you've received it and they don't have to send another email. I said, haven't you noticed? I sent you an email, I didn't get a response, then I forward it again to you. He said, yes,
of course. Yes. No, it happens so often, to the point now that I don't take it personally anymore, because I'm just used to it, but then ultimately though, tasks are getting delayed, because we're talking about collaboration here. So if the other person is not replying to your email, then you cannot, for example, get confirmation about a task that you want an answer to ASAP. So therefore, important tasks will be delayed. So it's not good in terms of the collaborative effort for a school to function, or any job environment, to be honest.
Exactly, because I said to him, I needed a response from you, and I'm not too sure where I was with it. I said, you know what? I made my decision, so I decided, things. So it is very, very true, because it does mean that things are delayed because you're not getting a response.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you for that. In terms of discipline, what has discipline been like in the classroom now that you're back in the physical?
So I can say that I consider myself extremely lucky, because I have small groups. And my students are very well behaved. I would say it's very rarely that I would have any behavior issues. But saying that, I still have to do my duties at the school. So I do come across a lot of students. And there's challenging behavior, of course. There's the occasions where a student will be rude for no reason, etc. But in terms of my classes, my lessons, I haven't had any issues in terms of discipline. Very rarely I would have that, when I would have to actually ask the student to, for example, stop doing something that is not appropriate. But it's not through shouting, definitely not. It's just, trying to have a normal conversation, respectful conversation, and reminding them of the rules of the school, but also the values. For example, the other day I had a group, this is my largest group, it was 8 of them, and they kept interrupting each other, and they kept sort of going, not shouting, but being really loud, etc. They were excited, we're playing a game. So I reminded them that you need to respect when somebody else is talking. I said, would you like if somebody, was interrupting you, or, that's disrespectful. So then they stopped. And also in terms of discipline, I think that we have to model that behavior so they can see that. If I'm always shouting and screaming when I'm on duty, and during the lunch break, then, possibly they would think that that's okay and they can do it as well. So it's all about, you being the role model. Now, nobody's perfect. There's no teacher that is perfect. No human being is perfect, but we have to constantly try to do the best we can and to be the best role model we can for them. Hope that answered your question about the discipline.
Yeah, thank you for that. Well, some of us, you have small classes, right? So
yes.
you are blessed. I cannot say that. I have a class of, I must say, I'm also grateful because in the past I've had classes of 30 and 31. I have a class of
challenging.
38. It is. And schools now still have, from year 7 up to year 10, some schools they have classes of 31 and 30.
Okay, that's quite a lot of
yeah. And could you imagine if you have half of those students that although some of them might be low level behavior
the mixed ability classes as well,
it's still an issue for you. And I must say, with year 10s, every school I go to, that's one of the most challenging. There's sometimes I don't know how to navigate them. I don't know what to do.
And even if you have a teaching assistant in the class or an LSA, learning support assistant, because I see them around the school, I find it quite distracting to actually have 2 or 3 teachers at the same time. It can help, but I don't know if you have experienced that. But if it's such a huge class, then it might be worth maybe looking at teaching assistants or LSAs.
When I find when I have a large class with a real mixed ability, having an SLA or teaching assistant in the class, they are a lifesaver.
Yes, so you like it,
Yeah, I do, because it means that they could work with the students who I am not reaching, either for reasons of they don't understand what I'm talking about. It's either way above the head or English is a second language.
Yes.
Sorry. So for me, it really does help because it really reaches the pressure from me.
Oh, I do sometimes in-class support as well. So last year when I started at the school, the academy, I used to go every Friday for a double lesson. And I used to support 2 Japanese students in an English literature lesson. That was really helpful for them. So it's good. It's good to have in-class support.
Exactly.
If you can do it,
Exactly. It was helpful for them, but also even more helpful for the teacher.
Definitely. They loved it.
Exactly.
They loved it.
Even more helpful for the teacher because you're thinking, oh my goodness, at least this person is going to support this student who is struggling, and you could
Yeah.
continue to, you know, to give more time, because you're feeling guilty because you know that that child is not getting your attention as much as
and
they
also
ought
the
to.
teacher would send me the PowerPoint slides the day before. So I would go
Right.
with my laptop, my Chromebook, and therefore me and the student already, you know, could see the material closer, not just from the PowerPoint far away. So
Yeah.
it was better for them to work like that.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's really
Yeah.
is good. I keep on saying to people, when you have an opportunity to have a teaching assistant or a learning support in your class, you need to be grateful, because it is wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah.
I love it. Right, thank
Definitely.
you.
And it's rare as well.
It is. In this school I'm in, I realize they don't even seems to have that. Whereas in some
Yeah.
of the other schools I've been in, I'm thinking, my goodness, they don't understand how these people are lifesavers for the classes.
In our school, we have it actually more often than
Right,
other schools I've seen.
right.
Nearly in every class, there is like some, you know, LSA moving around and helping someone, either because they're,
Okay.
you know, they've got some SEN, like special educational needs or
Yeah.
difficulties.
All right.
Yeah.
That's
Or
beautiful.
English is their second language or additional language. Yeah.
It's, you know, now that that comes to mind, when I go back in on Monday, I want to find out why is it that they don't have, you know, in the classroom. There must be some reason. I need to find the reasons, find out the reasons.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
definitely. You can ask.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you. What does self-care and mental well-being looks like for you?
That is a very that is a very important question. I think everybody has to think about. Self-care is when you actually love yourself enough to be able to look after yourself. You know, it's a virtue to help others, but who's going to help you if you're not helping yourself? So self-care is when you really try to look after your mental well-being and your physical well-being at the same time. So for example, you know that teachers, for example, we get up very early in the morning. So it's making sure that you go to bed early. It's making sure that you have healthy food, that you try to exercise, for example, because it does help with stress. Now, I don't have the time, as none of us do, to go to the gym every day or 3 times a week, but I do try once or twice a week to do something, like go to the gym, etc. Because it does help me.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so you asked me about mental well-being as well.
Yeah.
So what it means to me is to finding the ways, different ways, sorry, that they give me peace. So it's different to everyone. Some people, it might be praying, other people might be meditating, you know, again, exercise. But yeah, I think it's something that our society is lacking at the moment. I think we need to have more mindfulness and more awareness of what self-care and mental and health well-being is.
Thank you. As we know, for teachers, that actually is on the back burner.
Yes,
Always
it
on the
is.
back burner.
So you know
Sadly.
those strikes that happened recently, the strikes.
Yeah.
Basically, teachers did not just complain about the salaries or the wages. They wanted to make a point in terms of the workload. So there's a lot of marking to do. There's not enough time to actually do research, because, you know, being a teacher, you constantly have to update your resources, your teaching methods, your tools, etc. But where is the time to actually research? So for example, I just told you I started a course last week, which is only a month's course, you know, through the Bell Foundation. It's leading a whole school strategy for EAL. But if it was longer than a month, I don't know if I would have been able to cope. So yeah, with the strikes, I think teachers wanted to complain about the workload as well.
Yeah. Because thank you for that. The workload is heavy. It is heavy. There's sometimes you realize you're just chasing your tail and you still can't catch the tail, eh? It's constant.
Yeah. I was talking to a teacher a few weeks ago, and he told me that he goes to the office sometimes at 7:30, and he leaves after 5. And I'm like, why so late? And he's like, it's just too much to do. So not enough time during the day to do them. So he has to stay overtime. Yeah.
Yes, I do have a teacher saying the
yeah.
same thing to me as well, that, oh, they have to stay extra. They leave at 6 o'clock and they have to stay because when they get home. Yeah, it is. When they get home, they don't want to do any work. I say, I'd rather do it in the comfort of my own home.
Well, you can't even do work. You can't even cook or have dinner or do anything else because you're so tired.
Yes.
If you go home at 7 or 8, because
yes.
of course we have the, in London especially, we've got the commuting rush hour situation. Takes a while to get home, and then you're extremely tired.
Yep. Yes. So very true. Okay. Thank you. Now that you're back in the physical classroom, what are the students' mindset like? Would you say that they have a good mindset, a fixed mindset? What the mindset like in terms of coming back into the classroom?
That's interesting, actually, that you asked me that question. I feel that some of them are lacking the motivation. And personally, as Eve, I am trying my best to have stimulating lessons, to update my lessons, to, I follow this website, Lingua House. They've got really interesting up-to-date lessons, etc. But I do find it challenging that they are not very motivated. Not always, but I've noticed that trend, especially since after COVID, post-COVID. And I think this links back to mental health, I believe. Some of them are stressed. There's a lot of stress because of the assessments, because of the exams, So I see them in the corridors, etc. Oh, how are the exams? Because I've got A-level students at tutees and stuff. Oh, miss, I'm too stressed. I couldn't sleep last night. I think I've got insomnia. I was like, relax. Okay, take a breath, a deep breath. And I think there's a lot of pressure on them. Some of them are extremely motivated, and you can see that. I think there is a trend recently, since after COVID, post-COVID, that the energy is low, the mood is low. And I might be wrong, but this is what I have observed since, post-COVID, especially after COVID, yeah.
Thank you. As a teacher, what are the things that stresses you out?
Yeah, well, I used to have a lot of workload in a different school when I was working in the private sector, and I had to work Saturdays as well. That was a very demanding school, as you can understand. You can appreciate that private schools are more demanding in other ways. Doesn't mean that they're harder, but it's just different challenges. I had so much marking to do that I would fall behind. And then I even got told off at the time by my line manager at the time of me not keeping up with the marking as fast as I should. But these were essays for literature as well, not just grammar or, just English language, but it was literature. So I found that very stressful, extremely stressful, and it definitely affected my mental health at that point in time. I had to take the papers at home and do it on a Sunday, which was my only time off. Mark them, on a Sunday. And then planning as well on top of that, making sure that you deliver, good lessons, excellent lessons. There's no such thing as an excellent lesson, but
as much as
making your, doing the best you can. And that was really, really daunting.
How did you overcome it?
How
did you overcome it?
Well, I prioritized. Basically what I did, I took the assessment papers that I had to mark first, etc. But I also had a discussion with my line manager, and I expressed that I found it quite difficult. So then she helped me in terms of marking them. So we sort of split the work between us, which was very helpful. Yeah.
Okay.
It was also my first teaching position in the UK. You know, it was my first experience. Thankfully, it didn't put me off. Completely didn't put me off teaching, but it was challenging.
Good,
yeah,
because it could have put you off teaching it.
It could have put me
yeah,
off.
Yeah.
Yes, it could have put me off, definitely.
Yeah. Thank you. What are the most rewarding things of being a teacher?
Oh God, it's so many rewarding things.
Share them.
So I've always wanted to be a teacher since I was 9, 10. I told my mother I'm going to go to the UK and I'm going to be an English teacher since I was 9, 10. I've always liked education, so I always wanted to be in education. The most rewarding thing is when you see them progressing. I know it sounds cliche and it's one of the most common things that a teacher would say, but when you actually see that and when you get the appreciation from them as well, thank you, miss, you've done so much for me, etc. But the other thing is that I learned so much from them. It's unreal, like how many things I learn every day from them, through our lessons, through their own experiences, through them sharing, what they've been through, what they've gone through, what their education was like in their own countries, their ambitions and, dreams and goals for the future. It's fascinating how many things you can, gain from teaching, actually. And the other thing is, when you have that skill of transferring the knowledge, that is something that, because it goes vice versa, right? You give and you take. There's something so unique about that. This is why I told you that I prefer face-to-face teaching, because yes, of course, you can have a similar experience online, etc., or hybrid, but it's not the same as that personal sort of intimate, one-to-one interaction. So, yeah,
that's very, very true. Thank you for that. Another thing is, when you went back to the classroom, was it business as usual, or do you think things have changed when you went back to the classroom?
Well, when you say business as usual, do you mean the same situations as we had before COVID? Or...
Well, basically, when I went back to school, as if it is seen now as if there wasn't a pandemic. Life is just normal. And I had to say to myself, hold on, there's still evidence of we actually come out of a pandemic, because look, the hand sanitizer there, the sanitary wipes are still there, but on the whole sense of in the teaching, as if nothing have taken place. It's like business as usual. That's what I feel, that they have not.
I feel that as well, Debbie. Yes.
Yeah.
And actually, I've never thought about that until now that you've mentioned it. So thank you for doing that, because it's something that I can raise with my colleagues, that, hold on a second, we've just come out from a very, very weird, strange situation that has affected millions of people around the world. And we are just continuing as if nothing happened. So I think you're absolutely right. Definitely. I personally feel like we're placing a lot of emphasis on assessments. Now, there's nothing wrong with assessments, but okay, I'm not a huge fan of exams. I prefer sort of written work or projects that you can showcase your abilities with, having your own time and pace. I don't believe that a 2-hour exam is representative of your skills and worth. But yes, I do think that we need to stop for a minute and actually discuss what just happened, the last 2.5 years or 3 years. Yes, it's business as usual, because let's not forget that even education, it is a form of business in a way. Sadly, it's all, sometimes it's politics.
Yeah, it is very true. Thank you for
Yeah.
highlighting that, because I constantly have to remind my students. Yesterday in my sociology lesson, I'm saying to them that
Hmm.
you all are commodities. Don't
Yeah.
forget, in education, people are shopping. They're going shopping, to find the schools. They're going shopping. And you need to be
Yes.
consciously aware as it is a capitalist society we're talking about, and the parents going shopping. It's true. Only then they say, oh, yes, miss. I see exactly. Your parents are
It
going
is a
shopping.
capitalist society,
Yeah, yeah,
definitely is.
yeah,
And it's
yeah,
becoming even more so
yeah,
after COVID.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because we're becoming more and more a commodity than
Yeah.
anything else.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's really,
So yeah, I do think it's business as usual,
yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah,
But it's good, it's positive that you are raising it, here with your shows and this platform. So then people can become aware and then consider or start considering, okay, what can we do about this? Should we just slow down and step back for a second
yeah, yeah,
and think about, this whole thing? Are we doing anything wrong? Are we acting in a rational way here? Are we taking into account our self, what you said earlier, the self-care, mental well-being? Are we
yeah,
actually doing that for us and for them, for our
yeah,
students?
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
because
That is
they will be the future generation, right?
exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That is so interesting the way you actually made the connection. That's brilliant. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
so true. Thank you. Do you think that
thank you.
teaching should be teacher-led, teacher-centered, or student-led, student-centered?
I think that it should be student-led, but that does not mean that it should be 100% student-led. I believe that, for example, a student should, so if I'm going to give you a percentage, I think that a student should talk 60% and a teacher 40%. I think that we need to allow our students to express themselves, but also to guide them towards self-discovery. Self-discovery is fundamental because we're not there to open their brains and put the knowledge in. This is what I tell my students. I'm here to not to teach you anything, but to make you think. Yeah, because I'm not perfect. I'm here to help you, but you also need to help yourself. So no, I don't believe in teacher-led sessions or lessons. This is not university where, even at university, actually, it's, but it's not a lecture where you're going to put the screen and then somebody's presenting and you're just taking notes. This is more like let's say a seminar, where you have to contribute and you have to offer your own opinion. But of course, in order to do that, you need to feel comfortable in the classroom and with your teacher and with your peers, etc.
Thank you. You put that
So
so
yeah.
nicely. Thank you. And the final question, what
Mhm.
3 tips would you give an educator who is dealing with mental health issue, well-being, in terms of ways to reduce the anxiety, overwhelm, and facing burnout? What 3 tips would you give any educator who is facing all of that, possibility of burnout, mental health issue, well-being? They're so anxious, they're feeling overwhelmed. What are the 3 tips you'll tell them? You'll give them?
I think, first of all, I would tell them that they're not alone, that there's a huge sort of community out there and there's a lot of help and support out there. And of course, I would give them this advice to go and speak to HR, because I think it's important to do that. Human resources, you need to express how you're feeling. They're there to help you. And accordingly, if you, for example, need some time off, okay, not everybody requires that, but depends on the situation. And also, step back a little bit and perhaps try to prioritize what are the important tasks, like a list of things to do, because it's nice to have a to-do list actually, and then you can tick it. There's something very, I don't know, feel satisfying when I do that, for example. It just makes me feel like, okay, I'm on top of things. So I'm not allowing the external situation to influence me. Because I've been there, Debbie, when I felt extremely overwhelmed. I was crying. I couldn't even mark. I didn't want to do it anymore, spending my Sundays. I just refused, mentally I refused. Then I did it. But yeah, I think having a to-do list of things next to your desk, next to your laptop or Chromebook. Okay, what do I need to do today? This and this and this. Priorities. Even with emails, you need to prioritize. Okay, these are the important emails. I'm going to reply to these ones first, etc. And just again, I'm going to reiterate what I said earlier. Remember that you're not alone and there is support and help out there. And if somebody doesn't want to go to HR, there are platforms like yours, or there are forums where you can actually connect with other teachers and people that have gone through similar situations, and then you can get advice and support from there.
Thank you. It is so easy for us to become overwhelmed because the workload is so heavy, especially when it's mock time and you have to be marking a whole pile of assessment. You become so overwhelmed. I remember last September, I was feeling so overwhelmed. I had to pause and say, hold on. Yes, you have all of this, but you need to prioritize this, or else you're going to be ill. That's not on. You have to really do some self-talking,
Yes.
Because it's so easy for you to go over the rail, thinking, oh my goodness, I have to finish this, and this is, it's like the pressure. I have to. Yeah.
And something else, just to add on what you said, for many years, I felt that my emotions in those situations that you said with the mocks would get the best of me. I would feel like I'm becoming too emotional, too intense, too anxious, or maybe angry sometimes, So it's important to step back, as you said. I know it's easier said than done, because if we don't, the emotions are going to take over. And then you might not feel very good after that. But, we learn as we go. It's all about experiences. And I believe that the key word here is priorities, stepping back, priorities, and just, remembering that you're not alone in this. Because sometimes people feel a bit isolated and they keep it inside. That makes it worse. You're bottling down your emotions. You're not talking to anybody. Well, how can you get support if you don't express, if you don't talk to at least one person? So
I totally agree with you there. Thank you very, very much for that. Do you have anything else you want to say before we wrap up?
I just want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to connect today. It's been brilliant. So thank you, Debbie.
I want to thank you for taking the time off and giving me your time. I really do appreciate that. And to share your journey with us and answer some of my questions. It's been fascinating. Thank you so very much. And hence the reason why we need to connect as, especially educators, because sometimes it's easy to think that you're alone on this journey, because you could be very isolated, So
exactly.
It's nice that people.
But we're not alone, so
exactly. We need the reminder. Thank you, Facebook, for actually listening to us and sharing. I hope that you guys are going to continue to come onto the platform, share, because it's important that you all hear our story, not secondary, but primary. So you're hearing it from us. Not anybody saying to you, this is what teachers are experiencing. We say, hi guys, these are our experiences. Whether or not you like it or not, these are our experiences, and it's exactly as it is. So thank you guys for listening. And remember, it is so important, parents, to be part of the situation instead of looking in and thinking all teachers are negative. It's not so. You need to come to us to support us so we could support your children. They're your precious diamond. Come on. We don't know them as much as you do. So you need to come to Parents' Evening, send us information. When you have any, anxiety or concerns, you send us the email. Even though we may not answer straight away, you send us a second one. When we see the third one, we're thinking, oh my goodness, let us answer this, because there's sometimes we're so overwhelmed, we don't even see the emails coming sometimes. So when you don't hear from us, that doesn't mean that we are ignoring you. It means that we didn't even see the email. because there's so many other emails, right? So thank you, guys. Thank you. Good
Thank you very
morning, night,
much.
evening, where you are. Take care, stay blessed.